Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are so excited to be presenting this topic to you today. My name is Katie Porter. I am a product and content marketing manager for Marin Software. And today we're going to be talking about leveling up your app installs. So we're going to be talking about several different tactics today: App Store optimization, App Store advertising, kind of the whole spectrum of advertising in the app space. So we are excited to get started. We will go ahead and dive right in. I'm going to be introducing the speakers today. I'll just be moderating the conversation, and I'm excited to have such great experts with us. I wanted to introduce our speakers. Simon Thiele is the head of App Store optimization with AppTweak, and AppTweak is partnering with Marin Software on this webinar today. We're very happy to have them. Thank you, Simon, for being here. He previously worked as a growth marketing manager at Deezer. He now advises mobile apps and games on their ASO strategies. Simon contributes to advancing ASO knowledge with practical research and frameworks such as A/B testing, brand defense cost modeling, in Apple search ads. So thank you again, Simon, for being here. And then on the Marin side, thank you. On the Marin side, we have Anton Antonov. He's a customer engagement manager here at Marin. Previously, he spent the last 9 years working in digital marketing, and previously he was at OMD EMEA in London. And apart from digital, he also enjoys tennis and photography. So thank you, Anton, for being our speaker as well.
Thanks, Katie. That's all true.
I wanted to do a quick introduction to the app landscape at large and why we felt that this topic was so important right now. It's had huge growth over the last few years, not surprisingly, but in 2021, mobile advertising spend reached $288 billion worldwide, and that increase was a 26.6% increase compared to the previous year. So as you can see with this graph on the right, it's just had explosive growth over the last several years. And if this projection were to continue, this space would be at $413 billion worldwide by 2024. So compared to just over $100 billion in 2016. So again, you can see kind of that growth, how important this app advertising is to a lot of businesses now, not just app developers, but we recognize that app developers, the gaming space has grown so much, but also it's a core part of a lot of other businesses as well, right? For retailers, B2B businesses, almost every company has an app now, it seems. And so how do we get those apps in front of people and make sure that users are taking full advantage of everything your company has to offer? So that's why we wanted to go through this topic and why we asked AppTweak to partner with us. So without further ado on the why, let's get into the agenda for today. So we'll first be covering ASO and organic optimization with Simon. Then we'll move to Anton with the advertising landscape and proven growth strategies. And finally, we'll end with a panel discussion and Q&A. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to put them into the chat. We'll keep track of those throughout the call, and we'll get to a few at the end. Okay, take it away, Simon.
Thank you. So yeah, thank you for having me. And because we're going to have a lot to cover, I'm sure, I'm just going to dive straight into why, if you're coming with a paid UA background and you don't know a lot of about ASO, you should hear a bit about it from me, hopefully research it a bit more and understand why not doing it would be one of your biggest mistakes. So I have a definition of ASO to get us started. After that, I'll also explain how ASO impacts specifically advertising results. I'll share a couple of insights that I find super important for UA managers. But the first thing is really the definition, and that's really important because ASO has been changing quite a lot in the past few years. Just in the last 6 months, ever since we got the last features from iOS 15, and only a few weeks ago when Google also announced new features for the Play Store, we've seen that there are really big trends that are now becoming part of ASO. So the definition I'm giving now is that it's a process of improving an app's visibility in the app stores throughout the app's lifetime, which means don't do it just once and think it's going to work out perfectly. You will have to iterate. But it's not just about visibility, it's also about maximizing your app's appeal to both new users, existing users, and lapsed users, with the objective to get more app downloads and reactivations as well. So we'll go more into the why it's not just app downloads anymore and how come there's so much more. But first, so you can understand why ASO is essential, the first thing you need to know is your downloads come from the App Store or come from the Play Store. There's very few people who know today how to download an app without going to an app store. That means that you have a huge bottleneck, and that whatever marketing efforts you're doing, and this applies to paid UA for sure, but also for influencer marketing, for TV, anything you can think of, means people are going to at one point end up on your App Store page or your Play Store page, and they're going to see certain things that will impact if they just hit the download button, the get button really fast, or if they start rethinking how they got here, or actually decide this is not an app for them. So first reason, main reason to do ASO is just it is going to impact every source of traffic. Then if we look specifically at how it impacts paid UA, conversion is key with paid UA. You get to optimize your campaign, hopefully per install, but the reality is Facebook, for instance, still one of my biggest reference when it comes to paid UA, is just selling you clicks that go to your App Store page, and hopefully they are going to convert on your App Store page to an actual app download. What you need there to make sure there's not too much drop off in that funnel is a good conversion rate on the store. And that means you'll have to make sure you have great visuals, you'll have great star rating and more to actually ensure that you get the best impression to install rate on the store, which means that if you do, you're going to get more install for the same amount of traffic sent to you by Facebook, which does mean a reduced cost per install. So definitely important. And with new tools like custom product pages, you're going to see there's a lot that you can be doing. In-app events have also been in question recently. And another thing that can be beneficial is around Apple Search Ads. So my first tactic I have for today is the custom product pages. These are custom landing pages that Apple and Google as well now allow you to create, where you are going to be able to customize certain elements of your store page. On Apple side, it's going to be the creative, so the videos, the screenshots, and if you use the promotional text, and you can create up to 35 custom pages, 35 different landing pages. Each of them can be localized in multiple languages. So if you're doing business in 5 different countries with 5 different languages, you're actually going to be able to do 35 times 5. I'm not going to do the math live because I know how it goes. So please go to Excel if you're really wondering about this number. But the point is, you get a huge opportunity to start giving different messages to different people based on where they came from, because all of these pages are accessible via URL. So you're going to be driving traffic. And here I made a very basic example based on screenshots that are all on Matchington's Mention screenshot gallery right now. I just switched them around to show how, instead of trying to satisfy everyone with the same page, where you would have to address people who came here because they saw a lot of ads that presented the mini games, but you also had people who came because they saw this game allows you to go into a story where you get to design your own mention. You may have different user intent, and rather than have to mix all your creatives to satisfy everyone, this time you can actually start making sure that you get creatives for each different intent. You could also do it per event offering, per user status, per product functionality. So you have a lot of customization options to do. And the first thing to do today is just get started on figuring out which segments you want to target first. The second strategy I want to give today is synergizing with Apple Search Ads. So Apple Search Ads has been getting tremendous popularity because since iOS 14.5, everyone deals with ATT except Apple Search Ads. So you've probably started it. If not, I advise you to give it a try. But what you need to know is that the auction mechanism that goes with Apple Search Ads, where you bid on certain keywords to take the first place before all the organic results in the search results, this auction mechanism is actually including certain factors such as your app's relevance to determine the winner of the auction. And app's relevance is calculated based on what metadata your app has. For instance, if the keyword you're actually targeting is part of your own metadata, and on the conversion rate that your app is getting on this keyword. So if I'm TikTok and I'm targeting social media, I may have better success at if I'm targeting knitting. I don't know, but the whole point is your relevance is going to matter. And so the first thing you can do is do ASO to make sure that you don't spend too much on your bid. You can also use an ASO tool to get good strategies in Apple Search Ads. ASO tools like AppTweak offer you data such as a keyword's volume. At AppTweak, we do have data science to estimate an app's relevancy score. And we can even help you identify which keywords your competitors are bidding on, what's the share of voice between different competitors on certain keywords. So you can actually identify which are the most competitive keywords, which are the least competitive keywords, and find you low-hanging fruits in here to actually target the keywords that are going to cost you the less for the best return. The last thing is that custom product pages that I've mentioned before are actually compatible with Apple Search Ads. So you can also make sure that whenever you bid on a certain keyword, you show a message that is tailored to the intent that lies behind that keyword. To give you a concrete example, a lot of fitness apps can offer both programs in terms of dieting and in terms of exercising. In the old days of the store, you would have had only a few screenshots to try and address both. But now you can actually start saying, I'm going to create a first bucket in my search ads campaign for exercising and show creatives that only relate to that, and create a second bucket for dieting and show creatives only related to that. This will help you maximize your conversion again. It's actually likely to even improve your ASO, improve your app's relevance organically, which will then improve your relevance for the search ads auction mechanism. So there's going to be a virtuous loop there. The last tactic I want to bring is also the insights you can get from certain ASO metrics, because I feel like this is what's most underestimated today. First thing is ASO tools give you volume scores for literally any keyword you can think of. And it's great when you think about which keywords to target for ASO or for ASA, but it also tells you the popularity of certain intents. So if you're trying to, let's say, think of a new game concept, you know you want to go into racing, but you don't know what kind of racing game you want to develop. You can actually start looking at search volumes to tell you what's most popular between car racing, kart racing, truck, bike, motorcycle, etc. You can go further down to identify not just the immediate keyword, but also combinations, keywords that would belong to the same kind of semantic cloud. and you can start thinking about your concepts. You can also use the same logic to compare brand popularity, brand notoriety in different countries. This is something that we did at ApptWeek not so long ago, where we looked at the brand search popularity in Mexico between Netflix, HBO Max, and Amazon Prime Video. And if you see the graph on the slides, you do see that when HBO Max actually launched in Mexico, they slightly beat Netflix for a couple of days or weeks before losing a bit notoriety, but that definitely remained high enough to beat with a large enough margin Amazon Prime Video. The other thing you can do is, again, use relevancy scores to help understand the intent behind a concept. Here, an example would be understanding the difference between run and running. If you look, these are both popular keywords in the App Store, but apps that appear in search results for run are mostly games, mostly runner games. Apps that appear on running are mostly sport GPS apps. So that really helps you identify which kind of keyword to target and which wording to use when you're going to be speaking to your users, whether on the App Store or in ads and other types of messages. The last signal that I really value is user reviews. And that's because users are actually already telling you what they enjoy about your app, what they don't like about your competitors. And so these are a ton of insights that you can find to decide how you want to frame the conversation about your app in your ads, how you want to insist on why your app is much better than your competitors. And a quick tip I give is start by looking on an Android phone, because Google actually has review topics on the Play Store that can, these are automatically generated by Google's AI, and they really help you see what people talk about when they look at one app or another. So it can really help you identify, are people being positive or negative on certain topics, whether it's about my app or my competitors, and is this a topic that matters to people? So these are the main insights I wanted to share before we get to the questions, but there's a ton more, so obviously please ask your questions as well.
Thank you, Simon. Yeah, it's really good to understand kind of how do we have the most optimized listing, first of all, and then how we can get into how do we then promote that listing, right? So similar to the relationship between PC and SEO in any market, but app advertising definitely has some individual nuances. So thanks for walking us through that. We are now going to get into the advertising landscape and growth strategies with Anton. So go take it away.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Katie. Yes, let's have a look at the advertising landscape as well as some of the growth strategies that we know that work, but starting with the advertising landscape. So you're going to have kind of your regular suspects on here: Apple search ads, Google app campaigns, as well as Facebook app ads, but you also have not exactly a visitor, but a publisher that is pretty big that also have an offering and that I recommend using. That's Microsoft. So let's dive into a bit more detail, publisher by publisher. Starting with Apple, so pretty much anybody who ran PPC activity before, to some extent, would be able to adapt their knowledge to Apple search ads. There are some differences. There are a lot of similarities. On the other hand, you want to start with your keyword selection. You would have your brand and your generic, and you would use your competitor, let's say, across search. You're not going to be leaning on competitor terms that much because they might be costly and not as efficient. In Apple, you're going to get a slightly different picture in that way. It's fairly efficient, and it's recommended to try and to use competitor terms. You want to use your broad match to get your reach, and then your exact match for efficiency. Keep your negative lists up to date, as well as utilize the search match to discover new keywords. In terms of the campaign structure, you have your brand, generic, competitor discovery campaigns, and you want to segment by countries and regions to get better granularity and to kind of capitalize on your opportunities. Some differences to paid search is the opportunity to use the to retarget the users who previously installed the apps and then deleted them to do so-called re-downloads. So recommended creating separate ad groups for this and target them in that way. So in kind of like an additional granularity to that. And important, and it's going to be part of the theme of this presentation as well, is it's quite important to automate as much as you can. And in this case, if you can also automate your bidding, and there are quite a few, well, in fact, there's a few parties that can provide automation for Apple search bidding. I would recommend utilizing them too. Moving to Google. So Google had a few attempts of creating and launching their app channel, their app campaigns, and the most recent ones was Universal App Campaigns, which now is called Google App Campaigns. And it is very efficient, especially if you run it to target your Android users. I'd say generally you want to use Apple Search to get your iOS users, and you want to use Google to get your Android users. It might come as obvious, but there is an option to also target your iOS users on Google. It's just it has quite a lot of limitations in terms of the volume that it can deliver. So depending on what your goal is, let's say if you drive and installs, then you set target CPI based on the average value of a new user. If it's in-app action, you set a target CPA based on the average value of a user who completes in-app action. In terms of the assets that you want to use, you want to have a fairly big mix of assets. You want to use, you want to at least start by using everything that you can. When you have your text, video, images, you want to get creative with your text, and it has to be fairly clear and concise. You want to have your videos to be quite engaging and short, around 10 up to 30 seconds. Utilize horizontal and vertical videos too, and keep your images really easy to read. When it comes down to deciding on the budget, so the general kind of rule of thumb is that if you are optimizing towards app installs, you want to have your budget 100 times higher than your TCPI. If it's in-app action, you want to have it at around 10-15%, sorry, not 15%, 10-15 times higher than your TCPA. Then optimize based on the performance and test, segment, and expand your campaigns based on different in-app actions. And then moving to our next slides. So this is a bit of a wild card, although I don't think it should be that much of a wild card for you. You should really be utilizing Microsoft, and I know it's really easy to kind of ignore Microsoft when we make budget decisions. I wouldn't recommend doing that. The main reason with Microsoft is that you are only paying if somebody downloads the app, so you're not actually paying for clicks. Somebody downloads the app, that's where you pay. It's fairly easy to be set up. You can set up within your existing search campaigns just by creating your app install ads within them. Also utilize your third-party measurement tools for it, your MMPs, to get your in-app action data so you can further optimize down the funnel. And then moving to Facebook, I mean, Facebook is one of the top platforms for app downloads. And in terms of the setup, register your app on the Facebook for Developers site, integrate the SDK, and add app events. Utilize your audiences. Your audiences will be a priority, obviously, on Facebook. You want to have your core audiences in place, the likes of your location, demographic, interests, and behaviors. And then your custom audiences. You want to get as much as you can granularity and kind of personalized targeting out of your custom audiences. So you want to use your cross-channel audiences. There's a way of creating, let's say, social audiences from your search activity. You want to utilize your CRM and create your lookalikes. Maximize your placements and optimize based on the performance, as well as there are options. If there are options, and there are some third-party tools that provide also third-party solution for bidding, utilize those. So maximize your automation.
Awesome. Yeah, we wanted to kind of give that sort of general overview of what are the biggest players in this space for those that are kind of new or just starting out on their app advertising path. For those that have already been doing app advertising for a while and are looking for some of those more sophisticated strategies, that's what we're going to be getting into now. We found, as we've really been diving more into this space and listening to our clients, hearing what roadblocks they face, there's a lot of universality between the struggles that app advertisers face versus any digital marketing advertiser, right? So we recognize that there's that kind of connection, and some of this is specific to app advertising, and some of it is roadblocks that I'm sure you're facing on other channels. So it'll be interesting to see kind of in the questions or feedback that we get if that these resonate for the advertisers already working in the space quite a bit.
Thank you, Katie. So yeah, let's dive into some advanced tactics and the ways you kind of should be working day to day with your data, with your platforms. They all cross paths with MMPs as well, and any third-party tools, third-party data and automation. So what we're going to look is the omni-channel analysis, advanced forecasting modules, workflow automation, as well as the full funnel optimization. Starting with the first challenge that you're probably hitting on a daily basis is the ability to see the full picture. So you want to have the full picture to be able to optimize. You want to be able to report and make your decisions easier. And the solution for this, and the easiest way to achieve this is, you can see on the next slide, is to set up an omni-channel dashboard. There are various tools that can help you with this. There are products like Google Data Studio, Tableau, as well as Marine. We have our own version of this. These tools will help you kind of understand, let's say, how your brand activity or how your social media influence your app installs and how it influences your in-app actions. Also, some of these tools provides additional performance insights, so you can visualize everything, and you can also just take these insights and implement in your day-to-day. Some of the good example of the MMPs that provide this kind of data, like HubSpot, Localytics, and Dream Data, sorry, that can help you with that, and then just will allow you to make to have this holistic view and to make important decisions a bit faster than if you would have to kind of look at every channel separately. As a next challenge, it's understanding where and when to invest. You want to understand, can you drive more installs? Do you need more budget to drive more installs, or can you continue driving these installs while decreasing the budget? Is there still is there still an efficient way of doing that? So these are kind of questions that you get every day. And the solution is to plan ahead and to utilize a forecasting tool. Again, there are companies like Microsoft and Google and Apple Search Ads provides functionality around that. There are also third-party tools that do that can provide you cross-channel forecasting, that will kind of eliminate the lack of understanding what can you do with your budget, and that will allow you to make a decision so you can adjust your CPI targets or your budgets to hit your KPIs.
Yeah, and if you don't mind if I jump in for a second, Anton. Yeah. When we were formulating ideas around this webinar, I felt like this This quote was really impactful by Valentina Tertechetti. Oh, shoot, I'm sure I just slaughtered her name. But she's from Your Digital Web, and she had a lot of articles that were really insightful to me. And this particularly stood out that I felt like she kind of summed it up really well, right? That it's not just about creating a performing campaign. The issue is to make your campaign scalable to grow the business efficiently. Let's suppose brands create perfect high converting campaigns with a targeted audience. They run A/B tests. They understand which CTA suits best for every campaign. That's not enough. It's that we need to be planning ahead, right? We need to be looking forward on what's just around the corner. So I felt like Valentina summed that up really well for us and wanted to highlight that.
Perfect. Thank you, Katie. And then we have a couple more challenges that you probably come across every day. Well, I come across definitely these challenges. One of them is not enough time. It's just not enough time to do everything. And then LinkedIn recently mentioned the reasons that could cause not getting the job done. Lack of experience, being understaffed, not keeping up with the trends, a lack of communication, lack of accessible insights, as well as a lack of automation. So as a solution and to be able to give you this extra time back to do more important things, you want to automate as much as you can. You want to start using automation via scripts. You want to automate your bidding, and you want to have access to actionable insights just straight away without trying to kind of digest the data that you have. There are partners that can provide you with this. This will just make your life much easier. So based on the Instapage analysis, brands using advertising automation software see 451% increase in qualified leads, 14.5% increase in sales productivity, as well as 12.2% reduction in marketing overhead. So I'd say if you haven't been automating your processes up until now, you want to start doing it. And then we have a case study on this that we did at Marine, where the case study with Paddy Power, who has been using bid automation with Marine, and what they did, they were able to improve the CPI while continue driving more installs. They improved the CPI by 30%. Additionally, what that gave them too is just eliminating manual bidding. Gave them a lot of time savings. So yeah, automation, automate your bidding, use your scripts.
And we have several other case studies on our website as well of how bidding automation can really increase efficiency and how your teams work. So I don't think there's any advertiser in the world that feels like they have sufficient time to optimize every campaign. So keep that in mind as you're kind of looking at these roadblocks, and it's really crucial to diversify the placements and platforms that we put as advertisers. But if you're running Facebook ads and Apple search ads and Microsoft ads, and it just becomes a lot to manage, right? So that's something that's been really crucial for a lot of our clients is just understanding, how do I save myself more time, and how do I get the robots to do some of this heavy lifting for me?
Perfect. Yes, exactly. Thank you, Katie. And then I guess to the final challenge or final example and of a solution that can help you improve your performance and get those people to install your apps and then make that down the funnel purchase or a subscription and any other in-app action is what comes from the disconnected advertising. So you want to have the seamless customer experience. You want to target the right audience at the right time, and you do not want the customer just to download the app and forget about it. You want a customer to actually make an in-app action, a purchase or an account creation. So you can do that with a full funnel bidding. What it does, it makes sure the customer that is likely to make a low funnel conversion, like a subscription or an account creation, is not being dropped off at the top of the funnel right after they install the app and just forget about the app. This solution enables you to leverage every touch point during the customer purchase journey and incorporates it into the bid optimization. It's fully automated, and it helps you get that in-app action. We have on the next slide, we also have obviously we have a lot of success stories, and there's a couple of examples here. So one of them is with the automotive brand, and the other one with the online gambling brand. So with the automotive brand, by utilizing the full funnel bidding, we delivered an uplift of 34% in lower funnel conversions, as well as decreased the CPL by 8% and improved the conversion rate by 16%. And then with the gambling brand, we were utilizing their offline revenue data as well as the in-app action, and based on that, the conversion volume, the conversion rate, and the spend, we will optimize in such way that they get that needed in-app action, which was customer deposits. Yes, that's kind of covers everything, all the best practices in the landscape and the growth techniques that we wanted to cover in this presentation and this webinar.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. It's great to have two really consummate experts in the area, in the space, and get a better understanding of app advertising, apps installs at large. So thank you so much. We'll take a couple of questions really quick. We have just a few minutes left in our time. So the first question is for Simon, and the question is, how does Google or Apple determine which apps reach the top 10 list?
So if it comes to top 10 list in terms of category rankings, these would be based purely on the number of installs on the previous day. This is what we call download velocity. So if your goal is just to claim your app made it to the top position in a category in the store or in the overall all apps category, it's all going to be based on install. Now, I believe this is mostly a vanity metric because it's just your installs are going to be compared to everyone else. And there's only very few people who still find apps based on category rankings. So I would advise to focus more on being in the top 10 search results in as many situations as you can, as long as the keywords actually hold traffic. And what's going to matter in that case is your direct ASO and your ASO results. Direct ASO is, by that I mean just optimizing your metadata, choosing which keywords to target in your app title, subtitle, descriptions, keyword fields, also choosing the right category, etc. Indirect is more when it comes to the user signals that are also used by both stores to determine the search results ranking. And that's going to be your app's overall conversion rate, but also the conversion rate for the specific query that was entered. And so this is where really working on understanding the intent and optimizing creatives, making sure you get the best average rating possible on the store. Those are going to be factors that will help make it to the top 10 list.
Got it. Nice. A quick question for Anton. What's the advantage of mobile versus desktop or tablet advertising?
Well, I think main advantage would be the accessibility of the user. We tend to have our phones with us all the time, so we're pretty much we'll look at our phones quite often. I know I do, so we can be targeted more frequently, as well as targeting. In particular, I think geo-targeting, which can be based a lot more around your location and around where you are at the time. Let's say you are near the computer game store, and based on that location, we can determine that you can be targeted with the gaming ads. Mobile also tend to have higher engagement rates too. Yeah, I think maybe the accessibility is one of the main factors in that way.
Okay, great. Simon, I think you got into this a little bit, but maybe you could explain just a little bit more. How does the App Store algorithm work exactly?
So there's actually multiple algorithms. Some deal with featuring, especially on Google. So if you want your app to be featured on the homepage or in certain other places, what you'll need is to optimize your Google tags to get the best average rating possible. Usually there's not always a threshold at 4 stars, but we've seen that apps that have a rating below 4 stars tend to be featured a lot less than other apps.
Oh, okay.
So that would be for the browse or explore part of the store traffic. When it comes to search, there's again multiple algorithms. There's the ads algorithm, which I touched on when we went through the presentation. For the pure organic search algorithms, there's basically, it breaks down into 2 steps. There's indexing and there's ranking. So indexing is purely based on the metadata that you enter into Apple and Google consoles. So that's going to be your app titles, subtitles, keyword fields, etc. That's also going to be some Google tags, the category you choose, and that will be mostly how your app gets indexed. It means whenever you choose a certain keyword to appear in your app title, for instance, Apple will automatically know your app should be somewhat relevant to this keyword and to this topic. Now, what Apple still has to do is decide how relevant you are compared to everyone else who also put a keyword in your metadata. So that's when you're going to have a ranking algorithm that will come into play. And there, what will be considered is where exactly in your metadata was a keyword inserted, as well as how are users responding to seeing your app on the query overall. Is your app being very popular? Do you get a lot of traffic these days? Are you well rated, etc.? So these are going to be a lot of different factors to get into, but the part where developers have the most control is really the metadata they select. So I would start there and then try to identify for which queries you want to also maximize conversion, maximize retention, etc.
That makes a lot of sense. I didn't know that distinction between indexing and ranking. Thank you for explaining that. And then the last question that we have here, we'll make this one for Anton. How can App Analytics help my app?
Well, in multiple, like any analytics, they can help definitely get you more data. It can also help you understand your customer better and understand what the customer do within the app itself. So without the analytics, you will just get your app install and the understanding of the user ends there. With the app in-app analytics, you actually get the data of the engagement or any in-app actions they do, any returning users, as well as what it also does, it kind of gives you a slightly different view of your installs that you get within publishers like Google or Apple. Quite often the data that you get in App Analytics is different, and you would get different volumes from installs and even could be attributed in a different way. So in-app analytics will help you basically make better decisions on a cleaner, better, and more relevant data.
Okay. Yeah, great answers. I think that all makes sense to me. If there are other questions for any of the attendees, by all means, still submit them into the chat, and we'll try to get back to you individually as much as we can. But that's everything that we have for today. We just have 1 minute left on the time we had planned. So thank you all for the time, and we appreciate you attending a webinar with Marin and AppTweak.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.